Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at the difference between Cyberpunk 1.63 and 2.0. So what we're trying to do is see if the new 2.0 update has had any major impacts on the FPS and performance of the game. Now I'm running on an AMD 5600X CPU with an Nvidia 3070 along with 32 gigs of DDR4 3600 CL16 memory. This isn't a particularly jaw-dropping build. It's, could be considered mid to low range these days when you consider what is out, but I think it's important really to be kind of testing the game on systems like this conveniently because it's the only system I have. I'm not a big time YouTuber yet, on which subject please like and subscribe. We've got the watch hours now to become a YouTube partner, but we don't have the subscribers. We need to get to 1,000 subs, so if you would hit the sub button, I'd really appreciate it. Obviously you can go throw in 4090s and 3900 KSs at this build, but I think a 3070 5600X build kind of represents your kind of middle of the road build that quite a lot of people are going to have or have something similar to it. So all of the footage you're about to see has been captured at 1440p. We're going to go through a range of settings and we will see what the differences are. So let's jump into it. All right, starting off at the Ultra preset, but I turned off FSR because FSR comes on by default. I just wanted to see what it is like at Ultra with no upscaling technologies whatsoever. Now, as you can see, the 2.0 update has taken a substantial hit on our FPS. You could say in some cases you're down by 25%. If you look carefully at the RAM usage, you can see that we're actually over the 16 gig limit of RAM, whereas on the 1.63 update, we're sitting comfortably below that. Now, moving on to Ultra settings, but with DLSS Quality on, you can see the gap has closed quite considerably. Yeah, okay, fair enough. 2.0 is sometimes on the lower side of the 1.63 version, but it's not as bad as it was without any upscaling. Again, take a look at that system RAM usage, 14 gigabytes on 1.63, and we've got 17 gigs on the 2.0 update. Okay, so this time I left it at Ultra settings, but what I did was I turned DLSS onto Auto. It's always interesting to see what happens when you just let it do its thing, where we don't interfere too much, we just set it to Auto and see what actually happens. So again, the gap is a lot closer here than it was when we didn't have any upscaling on at all, so that's good to see. Again, RAM usage has increased. Also, if you look at the CPU usage, again, just a little bit higher on the 2.0 update, which is kind of good. It means that it's scaling across more cores. Now, this one maybe was a stretch too far. Ray tracing Ultra with DLSS Auto on, and you can see that the 2.0 update is just ever so slightly behind the 1.63. I did do multiple runs of this because obviously you get margin of error issues, but yeah, it's definitely 2.0 is taking more of a hit on our system. Also, check out the GPU memory. We're at 7.3, 7.4 gigs on the older version, and we're much higher to our 8 gigabyte limit on the 2.0 version. All right, cranking it down a little bit to ray tracing medium again, keeping DLSS Auto in place. The gap, we're sub 60 FPS, but that's really not the point of this video, is to obsess over frame rates. We're more interested in the difference between the old and the new version. Once again, you can see that the system RAM is much higher with the 2.0 update. Okay, so this time we went in to medium, and by default FSR goes to auto. So I was kind of curious to see here if we would see any difference compared to what we saw with DLSS, because obviously with DLSS the gap was narrowed considerably versus no upscaling, and again it's not the worst here. I mean, you can tell that the 2.0 version lags behind a little bit, but not by much. Now, if we put the settings into high quality, and again, FSR comes on by default, but this time in quality, you can see here that you've still got that disparity in the system RAM, and we're actually using a touch less of our GPU VRAM with FSR enabled, which is an interesting point, and also we're using a little bit less on the GPU wattage, which is an interesting observation. But again, FPS lags behind just a little bit on the 2.0 update. And just for fun, I turned on the ray tracing overdrive setting. Now, I do not advise you turn this on, especially on an RTX 3070, barely breaking above 20 FPS here, but it was interesting just to see what would happen. I expected something terrible, and something terrible we got. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully this video has been useful to you. I really hope it has. If it has, please do consider leaving us a sub. Like I say, the channel just needs to get to 1,000 subs, and we can become a YouTube partner, which will be awesome. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.